I'm also married to a Black American woman, and I did not have the easiest time. Okay, so I knew aesthetically that that was my preference. I knew culturally that was my preference. It just wasn't easy, right? And my parents, they've alluded to naturally they wanted me to marry a Nigerian girl. In fact, I think I didn't, just as an act of defiance, right? But remember what I said earlier. It's about family values, future goals, and self-respect, self-worth, and all of that. And not all, but too many people in our community don't don't lead with that when they're showing themselves in the public. So that's what makes it hard for men who are seeking Black women to find that.
So I kind of want to know, like, how your family would feel about it if you brought someone home of a different race, and if they were against it, is that a deal breaker for you?
Family get used to it. You know what I mean? Those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. You know what I mean? They may give you a little earful about it before they've met that person. I know that when it was me, my aunts and uncles all had, their opinions. And then when they finally met her, they were like, okay, yeah, she's fine. She understands what's going on. She's raised in the similar areas that we were. So even though she's white, it's still not like that. So I think that the people who do care, like Raul was saying, some of these older generations, they'll be dead soon. You know what I mean? So we could just outlive them. And sometimes that's the only way that you breathe that out of your life is death, and unfortunately. So this is my life. I can only live it for me. I can't be concerned with what my grandparents or my aunt is talking about. Go ahead, Chaotic. I know you've been trying to jump in.
Yes.
Well, been talking all night.
Typically, it's hard for me to speak on Black panels, but if you are a young man in the chat and you have been listening to this, and listen, I'm married to a Black woman and I love Black women, but I'll tell you this, and to answer the question, it ain't nothing like having a Coach K on your arms when you're walking into a Black home. You need this. I'm telling you, that's an angel. Listen to the way she speaks. Listen to the softness in her voice. It's not just Coach K. This is how most white women are. They're peaceful. They're pleasant.
They're crazy liberal feminists.
No, we're not talking about the liberal little purple-haired white crazy women. We're talking about the regular white women. And I tell you, if you're 19, 20, you're looking at Lapeef, like, I want to get so much advice from these old people because we're old millennials. I'm telling you, man, that's the best thing to do. Don't worry about what your mom say. Don't bring no white girl up here. If I were you, I'll bring 2 or 3 white girls up in your mom's house. Because those white girls are going to bring you peace and solidarity. A Black chick is going to bring you drama, generally, unless you vet her really good.
Do you feel like your wife brings drama into your household?
I vetted my wife to the T, Kelly. I'm sorry. I'm a superior Negro, and I vetted my wife. My wife, she has everything that I needed. I vetted her tooth and nail.
Do you feel like it's possible for there to be other women like your wife in this world?
Of course. Whether they're African or African American,
right, so,
it's hard. But what I'm saying, Kelly, is a lot of Black men are not going to vet. A lot of Black men are going to think with their penis first. And what I'm saying is, at least do it with, somebody who's going to bring you less drama. A white girl ain't going to set you up. A white girl ain't going to bring you drama. Black girls are, man. I've been around Black women all my life, and I'm telling you. Go ahead, Trigger Mike.
I was gonna say, because you tripping. Well, you're not tripping, but I hear what Chaotic is saying to a sense, right? Because I'm also married to a Black American woman, and I did not have the easiest time. Okay, so I knew aesthetically that that was my preference. I knew culturally that was my preference. It just wasn't easy, right? And my parents, they've alluded to naturally they wanted me to marry a Nigerian girl. In fact, I think I didn't, just as an act of defiance, right? But remember what I said earlier. It's about family values, future goals, and self-respect, self-worth, and all of that. And not all, but too many people in our community don't lead with that when they're showing themselves in the public. So that's what makes it hard for men who are seeking Black women to find that. And for some reason, because You know, if black women got a fever, white women got a cold. So white women are right behind black women in their debauchery and their ways. But it's other cultures of women that seem like they don't have as much of a problem because to some degree they still have those family values instilled in them simply because their families were intact, right? So that's, like I said, it's not really a person thing. It's not that there's anything inherently wrong with black women, but in this country we have a very vicious systemic cycle of BS where these women are raised to be overly independent. Remember, I said they don't have a mind for men anymore. And how could they? Their father wasn't there. They don't prioritize their male's happiness at all. Right? Me. If I'm not happy, they actually think marriage is about happiness. It's about service, right? So it's like you got to find a woman that still has these values. And unfortunately, the ones that are in least supply look like me. So, hopefully that changes. I promise you, I will be on the coalition to help and mentor people so we can get those numbers back up. But that's what it is today.
I also think that has a lot to do with training. Like, I know how to do it because I saw my mother and father who were married, the household I was raised in. I experienced that. I know what it looks like for my mother to serve my father. So if you have a bunch of broken homes and it's predominantly black people, where do they see that? Where do they learn it? How do they?
That's what I'm saying. That's all it is. Because it's not like I wanted to make it clear. It's not inherent. It's not like you're black, you ain't shit. No. It is the example, and that's lost in the broken homes and all of that led to all of this happening.
Yeah, even when I have disagreements now, I'll call my mother, like, Mom, can you give me some advice on this? Because I know she's been a wife for 38 years. And she's like, okay, say it like this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it like that. And it immediately, just takes all the problem away. It's so...
I do have to leave, but can I say one more thing real quick? Thank you so much for having me on here. You are an incredible host.
Thank you for coming, Kay. And I always appreciate your opinions.
And I totally forgot to say this. If you are interested in dating black women, if you're asking yourself, how can I attract black women? It's only one rule. And I tell people this all the time. Start dating white women. See how fast black women start coming to you.
That is a good point. That is what I was gonna. No, I was gonna ask that. Does it bother you to see your own race date another race when you see that out?
Okay. I don't like speaking. I don't like speaking for all black men, but we got to put a nail in this one. Black men don't give a damn. We really don't care.
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
That's what I was wondering.
I think it's older generations that might feel that way, or bitter people. It's not necessarily just every.
Never in my life did I go. What's wrong with me? Serena married a white man. Something wrong with me? And am I inadequate? I just keep turning the page. I don't care.
I'm a strong proponent of divesting. If you are a black woman in the chat, particularly if you're young, get all the white boys you can get. I support you. I've made videos about it. I made videos about it. I encourage you to do it.
Okay,
black men ain't shit. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's the area that I'm in too.
It's the truth.
Okay. I'm not in a rural area or whatever. But at least my family and the people I'm around, the white people I'm talking about, they do not care. I never hear race talked about. That's just, I just don't. So, especially in terms of caring about, who people are with or whatever. And but at the same time, that could go down a rabbit hole, but yeah. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. And if we're going to be real about it, there's a reason. So we can't say that for black women. And I'm not speaking for black women, but I'm just breaking it down scientifically, right? Asian men, according to the dating apps and all this data that's been getting gathered for the last 20 years, black women and Asian men are the least clicked on person. People will say exclude. They'll hit that exclude button the most. Exactly. So it's it's for that reason, whether it's, they think they have attitudes, they don't wear their natural hair, all these different reasons. We all know what they are. I think that is what has led to the kind of that look when you're out with someone. I've been out with white colleagues with their wedding ring on, and people think I'm married. You see what I'm saying? Like, we just going to lunch, and they think I'm married to her. And that look, and it really comes from that feeling of being undesired. You know, it's not even that they have a problem with it to its core, because when Serena does it, they say love is love. You can love whoever you want to. So if you don't have a problem with her, you don't really have a problem with it. But we're looking at the man that's supposed to be yours, or at least in your image. It brings that feeling of being undesired out for Black women. I see that.
I think Trigger Mike's right. I think Coach K, wonderful existence for you to live there, but I've lived in some of the southern states, and 100%, there is definitely a prejudice against interracial dating. For me, like I said, my parents wouldn't mind, but my grandmothers would have. They're both dead now. But they certainly would have been very angry if I'd have brought any of my Latina or Asian girlfriends home. They would not have liked that. Why are you doing that? Why can't you find a nice white girl to settle down with? What's wrong with you? We're breeding that out. It will take time, and it'll take longer time for the less developed parts of our nation. But it definitely exists. We can't throw that away. Mike's right. It exists. And it exists not just for white people. It exists for all time. I'm sure there's plenty of Black parents that are like, don't bring somebody home that's not Black. I know there's a ton of Koreans who are like, if the guy is not Korean, don't bring the motherfucker home. It's not going away anytime soon. It exists. I don't think we as educated individuals should have to deal with it.
What about for your children? Like, if you had children and they were like, I'm in love with someone that's of a different race, would that be something you'd be okay with in this day and age?
We've had this conversation multiple times. I don't give a fuck what you look like. How do you behave? How are you going to work with other people? Are you a good person? Or are you crabs in the bucket? If you're crabs in the bucket, I'll shoot you in the head. I don't care. If you're a good person, come along with me and we'll create a society. That's it.
Okay.
And Raul, I want to ask this question really quickly, because Black men get a lot of flack for their assumed love for white women. I don't ever want to hear anything about Black men and white women unless somebody's going to address white men and Asian women in the same sentence. They love them some Asian women.
Yep.
My wife is a vegetarian, sent me to H Mart, the Asian grocery store. Half the parking lot was white men with their Asian wives. And I was like, what on? Is this a convention? I was like, what is going on? White men love them some Asian women.
We fetishize Asian women the way Chaotic Truth fetishizes white women.
Thank you for admitting that openly.
Yeah, my uncle's like that. My dad always said like he just always dated Asian women.
No, my parents didn't mind. When I brought her to the house, as a matter of fact, she was friends. I had known her for some years, so my parents not really big on the whole race thing. At least not my dad. My mom, ironically, said that she could see me with a white girl, and that made sense, right? Because it's funny, like when you're Black and you behave a certain way, you kind of know Black women don't really like you. So Black women didn't like me up until a certain point. Now that I'm on the internet and there's more exposure now, Black women are saying that's not true. We always specifically now they like me, and it's like I think y'all are doing that just because I dated a white girl, like Trigger Mike was saying. So there's some level of, I don't know why, but there's some type of tension with that. Where just Black women did not like me, or the people that had the same interest as me. I didn't take it to heart, and I didn't date a white girl just to spite Black women. That's crazy. But yeah, no, my parents didn't care. Her parents didn't care. Her grandparents on one side definitely cared, and I never met them. She actually, her dad and everybody was just like, yeah, you're not meeting them. So that was it. But yeah, that's my experience.
I know my parents didn't care. My father was a pastor. He cared more about their religious beliefs. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm the only out of 4 sisters, I'm the only one that dates black guys. All my other sisters date outside the race. But my dad was never like, what color are they? Well, it's like, what do they believe in? Are they Christians? Do they have a relationship with God? Like that was his big question. He didn't care what you looked like. He cared about your belief system. So we weren't raised in that type of household. But I just like black men.
Cheeky, do you ever does it ever, well, on the internet, you can't have thin skin anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm even aware of that, like coming into this space, whatever. But like, do you ever get tired of hearing that, that you dated a white girl?
No, because even when I wasn't dating a white girl, black girls or women would say, you like white girls, and it's like, damn, I'm not even dating nobody. It's like for whatever reason, black men, especially when they're younger, we get classified as meant for not black women, and then when you get older, all of a sudden you're supposed to be for them again, and it's confusing. So they always like black girls have always told me like, you like white girls. I'm like, no, I don't. I like women. So now that I'm older and I've got more exposure to women just because of the internet. Now I'm hearing black women are saying, no, we do like you guys, and it's like, y'all are confusing, because any young black man that has a similar experience, they say the same thing. I'm not making this up.
But how do you know they didn't like you? Did you try to approach them and they turned you down, or
when you walk by somebody and say you're ugly and that's all you say, then you walk past them, that's a sign. When you when you literally just hanging out with your friends and everybody joking on you, and then she got the joke to really tip it over the edge, you be like, the joke, like for example, like we can be in the lunchroom chilling, right? Everybody's got jokes. It's the lunchroom. Everybody's got milk carton head ass boy, right? Okay, she not supposed to be coming through out of nowhere. Everybody getting joked on. She picked you to joke on because you the easy target.
She had a crush on you, right? Huh? That's what we always said. When you're younger and you do that, it's because they have a crush on you.
Right?
No, you don't do that in high school. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's a different story.
No, I'm talking about high school. I'm talking about I'm not talking about I'm talking about in the more important stages, like 15 and up. By that time, you don't do that. Most people have already dated one person or something. Like girls, my experience with black girls in high school, I don't hold against black women today, but that's me. But I know a lot of black men who have that kind of trauma since high school. They have not let that go, and it still stick with them. And then it don't help that black women's some of the stereotypes they kind of make true also. So it's like it don't really help. It's a lot behind that, right? Because I was considered the nerd, which I'm cool with now. Like I've always been fine with that. Never really bothered me, but for whatever reason, other cultures or women seem to appreciate that more than black women did. So it made it so much easier to go to them, or they would come to you, right? Because that's another thing too. Black women, if they were interested, they didn't let me know by going, hey, I'm interested. White women and Hispanic women and 2 Asian girls, but mainly white women, they would come up to me like, hey, like I think you're pretty cool. You want to hang out? Hanging out turned into being like, meeting every day somewhere, turned into, oh, like I like you. But with black women, that's not what they do. They kind of look for you to take the shot. They kind of wait for you, and it's like, well, I don't trust you. Like I don't trust you to. How do I know if I go over there? You're not going to embarrass me intentionally, because I've seen that happen too, and it's like, couldn't be that guy.
You seem like a pretty smooth nerd.
I don't know what to tell you. Like I've been. So what's funny is my personality hasn't necessarily changed. I think maybe they matured. That's why I don't hold it against black girls, because they're girls. Like when you 15, 16, 17, I don't expect you to have the mental capacity to make a smart decision. Like he's a good guy. Like you're a dumb girl. It's okay.
But also, if black women don't have a good male role model, how do they know what a good man looks like? The male role models they have are what?
Yeah, I was gonna say
the
like
gangster.
you're letting them off the hook. You're letting them off the hook. Because that behavior you're talking about that they display when they're 15, 16, 17, they carry that into their 30s now. And it's not cute.
Well, I'm not 30 and I don't really deal with them, so I wouldn't know. So if you see it, then
he said I don't even deal with them.
I'm just being serious. I'm dead serious. Like I really don't.
They carry that mindset. So I definitely understand what you're saying, but like right now, you know, one of the reasons we talked about where white women, and other races of women can easily get in front of black men, it's simply because there's no barrier. They don't put a barrier up. And you know, our women, they do like, you know, if you charming, charismatic, you got swag, you're cool, you know, it's easy to get in front of them. That barrier is taken away.